Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim Delace here with me. Tim, it's Victory Monday. How are you doing?
All right. A little bit tired after 3 days Newlands, but all good. Unfortunately, no victory in the Cape, I'm afraid. But all good.
It's going to end up in a draw, sadly. Having that day one being rained out is not great, but yeah. Well, we need rain. You guys are just getting a lot recently. Anyway, this is your South African cricket podcast. We talk all things South African cricket, and we're going to be going through quite a lot today. The Proteas were in action. The Proteas Women were in action. I should say Proteas Men and Women were in action. We had some 4-day matches, and also we had some press releases. The coaches left the teams, and invitational teams were announced, as well as T20 squads were announced. And Pakistan was baffling announcements there for their test side, but we're not going to talk about that just yet. We're going to go through it all, but most importantly, remember, please follow us on Full Quota Pod on X. Subscribe to the Full Quota podcast on the YouTube channel. That's when you get to also do subscribe and like, and then you'll get to know when we go live, because you'll get notifications when we go live. And then the Full Quota podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And also you can buy some coffee at Buy Me a Coffee. Any contributions are appreciated, and they go into the running of the podcast and helping us keep on providing content for you. And here's the thing, right? We might now, with South Africa having beaten Sri Lanka, if you didn't know and you're living under the rock, yes, we've won the Test series 2-0, and it means that we are all but secure a spot at the World Test Championship. And if you want to see the both of us, or one of us, or all of us at Lords on the 11th of June until the 15th of June, most definitely, can you please just buy some coffee, and we'll bring content from Lords. You never know. We might be wearing green suits. Who knows? But the thing is, we need your help, and that's all we're asking. And we'll appreciate any recognition there and help and contributions. Tim, we needed to beat Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka were the other team in the World Test Championship that could potentially make it in. And essentially what we did is we played the pantomime villain. There's not going to be a we could get in situation in goal where we'd need Australia to beat Sri Lanka in goal in the final game of the World Test Championship. No. Why? Because Proteas Men know how to do a job. And they did a job. And they did it well. They started today, day 5, needing 5 wickets. Sri Lanka needed 140 odd runs. And they did it with 100 runs to spare. And it was a good win. Temba Bavuma was named man of the series. Dean Patterson, man of the match. It seems like Shukri's character monsters are coming through. And anything he touches turns to gold, and all the criticisms he gets are just like done by the time the game is done. How did you see that match, Tim?
Yeah, it's been to a large extent an improvement from Sri Lanka, but I think there was only really one team in it, really. If you look at the wider picture of it, there was only really ever. I know there was some reports last night that Sri Lanka might have pulled off another miracle like they did 5 years ago. I never really thought that. I never really had that sense. But again, I suppose I never really had that sense 5 years ago. So in theory, they might have done it. But as you say, sorry, my light is giving me problems. Shukri's men are doing the business. They are doing what needs to be done, and that's what matters. Everything, as you say, everything that he touches is turning to gold. Everything that he touches is working out for him. I guess, and they're all positives. They're all positives. We have got 2 feet and one right hand in the World Test Championship final. We are just about there, barring an absolute disaster against Pakistan. It is all positive. Players he's picking, the new players he's picking to the squad are contributing. Ryan Rickleton, Patterson, they are all contributing, and they're contributing at times when the game is perhaps a little bit more even than it looks on paper. Those are all positives. It's going to be interesting to see when a team has the upper hand. I don't think a team has had the upper hand against Shukri outside of that New Zealand series, but again, that's caveated with the fact that we were not able to pick our strongest side. So when we feel the pressure with the team that we want, that's going to be a real test going forward.
Okay, I tend to agree with you, and I think that's going to be something for this team, but you can't walk away from the fact that in moments where the game was tight, they broke the game open, and it's effectively the like, for instance, Dane Patterson's spell on the morning of day 3, when it all but looked like Sri Lanka were going to repeat what they did 5 years ago, and he opened it up, and he's the most unlikely candidate because everyone was asking for Kwena, and Shukri was saying, no, Dane is good enough. Everyone's complaining, but Dane's 125 kilometers per hour balls, but they worked, and he did really well. Man of the match performance, really, really played well. And Ryan Rickleton as well. And the thing for me, Tim, is I understand we haven't seen this team with their backs against the wall. Possibly you could say that India game at Newlands at the beginning of the year, where the pitch was horrible, but you can blame it on the pitch, right? But I look at this team and go, how good is this team actually? They've had an incredible year. 8 different Centurions. Everyone in the top 6 essentially scoring 100, including the players on the bench. The only person who hasn't scored 100, it seemed, outside of the New Zealand series, is Matthew Bretsky. Matthew Bretsky had a horrible test. Hopefully he'll get his opportunity. But everyone who comes into the side, who gets picked, does something with bat and ball. We've seen Vian, the opening bowler in Bangladesh. We saw Vian, the century maker in Bangladesh. We've seen Ryan Rickleton get his initial test century, which was a really great innings, right? And I look at this and I'm like, in the last decade, it's been 10 years since Timber's made his debut. So we can look at all those teams, and all those teams have had Hash, they've had AB, they've had quite a lot of really strong Proteas batters, but I can't remember the last time I can. And I'd say it's probably around about 2014, just before Carlos retires, where you had a team that had guys who could score a century at any position in the batting order, right? So you had Jacques, you had Graham, you had Alvaro, you had AB, you had Faf, and you had Amla as well in there. And so you look and you're like, this team's not that. It's a younger version, a less mature version of that, but we're getting results and we're seeing the rewards. And yes, we can talk about the schedule, but as I've said many times before, this was the time with the schedule we had for us to make that World Test Championship final. These games have given this team so much experience, so much knowledge, so much confidence that even when we do go to England and play there, when we do go to Australia and play there, even when we go to India next year, that they'll be there. They'll arrive. They'll understand that they can win games. And I think, to me, credit goes to Shukri, building a winning environment, working with the batters, working with what they had, and getting them to become active participants and run scorers. Everybody wants to contribute to a win in this team. And you can see it with the way they celebrate, right? Even that fifer from Dane Patterson, that was sensational. And, it's a guy who's in and out of the team. He's on the bench. He's 35 years old. Yes, we know he's 35 years old. He's probably the slowest seamer in in the pool of bowlers that you have, there's this youngster that everyone wants to see. And Den's like, look, here you go. I'm here. I'm taking wickets. I deserve my spot. And well done to all of them. I really enjoyed this test match series. I loved it so much. Like, if anyone look at Tim, like, it's like Timber never was injured. That's how good this team was. How good is this team, Tim? If you look at all the teams, all the test teams of the last decade that we had from South Africa, where would you rank this team?
You'd have to say it's very difficult. I actually think there is very little difference between the team that in the last World Test Championship cycle had to draw against England and draw against Australia to make the final. I think the two teams are very, very similar. Very similar. They've got
so it was the team for the 2021 World Test Championship, the one New Zealand one.
Yeah. I think there's very, very similar attributes to the side. I think there are still issues with this top six. I think there are individuals who still either haven't nailed their position in the 11 or haven't produced what their talent suggests that they should produce. The big difference is Rookery is getting the best out of them in important games. Games that matter, they are contributing. Look at Markham. Markham's form fallen off a cliff. What did he do in this test match? He made 55. That's a statement innings. Ryan Rickleton, he's not nailed down in this 11. Everybody realizes that. He makes a statement century, and it was a statement century. We talked last week about individuals who can see out the tough periods and then play their natural game. That's what Rickleton did. Rickleton started slow, saw that things were a bit dicey, knew that he couldn't play with normal freedom, but as the innings progressed, as he became more confident, he was able to do that. You saw Dane Patterson, with all the criticism that he did, he decided, I'm going to do what I am good at. I'm not going to listen to the outside people saying I shouldn't be here and I'm too slow and all this. I'm going to bowl wicket to wicket, get enough movement, and the Sri Lankan batters, if I get it right, will go out fishing. What do the Sri Lankan batters do? They went out fishing. He gets his five wickets. So Shukri somehow is getting the best out of what I think is not actually a great team. I don't think if we win the World Test Championship, this is still not a great team. As far as I'm concerned.
Tim.
It's still not a great team. It will have won a trophy and it will have made a statement. It is still not a great team.
Would you agree with me that if they win the World Test Championship, they're the best test team in the world?
By the metric that we play the teams that we play, that has to be the case. I still don't think that we will beat the teams that we didn't play in the cycle. That's my point. I think we are the fourth best team in the world.
Fourth?
Fourth best
Behind
team
who?
in the world. Behind Australia, India, and England. I think if we play them away, they spank us. I'm sorry. They will 9 times out of 10. They will spank us.
No.
By the metric that we have been given, that's how the World Test Championship works. By that metric, we will be number one in the world because we have got that trophy.
Tim, if we win on June 11, my Twitter headline is best in the world. And yes, I agree with you. But there's no way that India and to some extent England, Australia is also debatable, are better than us. I get what we're seeing in New Zealand, but the same goes for everyone else. If Australia went to India, they get spanked. England goes to India, they get spanked. We go to India, we'll get spanked. But when they come here, we beat them. So then what is this? That's my thing. Like, I want Stokes's army that's wiping through New Zealand to come here and we can show them. I think this team is better than that. I think for me, yes, there's issues with the batting, but fundamentally, what do you want as a coach? As a coach, I want two guys to contribute to the large scores and everyone to bat around them. What have we done in the series? What did we do in Bangladesh? Two guys stepped up every innings and everyone else batted around them, right? Yes, techniques are weird and tough, and that 49, what is it? That 150 that we, and 890 that we got in the first in Durban, I get it, right? But as much as this team, the only thing that this team doesn't have is experience, which is what India, England, and Australia have in buckets. Australia have this team been going on for the last 10 years. India similarly, they've got Rohit, they've got Virat, and England as well. But England, on the other hand, are not there. They're playing all these test matches. They're not winning games. Yes, they're beating New Zealand, but they're struggling with teams at home. Sri Lanka took them to shreds. So I sit here going, there's no way we're fourth in the world, Tim. At least top two.
I'll only say, if England did not have their penalties for slow rate, which are their own fault, they know what the situation is. That is their own fault. But if they did not have those penalties, we did not make the final. If you look at that, they have got an enormous amount of penalties due to a slow over rate. If those are taken away, we don't make the final. That's
not my fault. That's not my problem. We played our games.
That's England's fault. That's their own mistake.
If England want to take a stand against overrates, that's fine. I saw Ben Stokes' little Instagram post on some. We finished the game in 3 days. You must finish 15 overs an hour. That's what people want, and it's not my fault. The best ability in any sport is availability. The Proteas' ability to run away from penalties and slow over rates kept them in the game. But, Tim, to you, I still think this current Proteas team can take on that England side. That one that's running through New Zealand like nobody's business. I'm telling you now. I am telling you now.
Yes, I see your point. In England, absolutely not. No chance.
Even there,
no chance.
We want them.
No chance.
We will go there and we will take them out ourselves. Just joking. No, but it's going to be a tough series if we get a draw. But we'll win some games. We'll lay some punches on England. Not like what's happening with New Zealand. New Zealand are weird. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about good things. Temba, top 10 in the world. 10 years in, celebrating his 10th anniversary, walks into the top 10 batters in Test cricket in the world. Are you still in denial? Is he good enough now to be a world beater? I know you were never in denial, but what is this Temba shown to all of us?
Well, you are technically right. No, but you are, because I wrote an article pre-COVID saying that he should be dropped. It wasn't published, thankfully. But pre-COVID, there was a discussion, and I felt a legitimate discussion where he is, and there are potentially. I'm not saying there was nobody knocking the door down, but there was potentially an avenue where he could have been dropped for somebody else, potentially. And that was and his conversion rate was a problem. Post-COVID, there is no discussion. Post-COVID, the best batter in the South African side is Tim Bavuma, bar nobody. There is no debate, or there should be no debate, there should be no discussion. End of. He is the most consistent batter since 2021. End of 2021. There is no debate around that. His average tells you that. His scores tell you that. How he scored those runs tell you that. At the same time, we can still have, because he is batting higher up these days, he's not batting with the tail anymore, we can still have a debate and say conversion rate is still a problem. So both of them are right.
Yeah.
Best batter for South Africa in the last 3 years.
Top 10 in the world. Put that in there.
Top 10 in the world. His conversion rate is a concern. I think when he looks back at his career, he will go, my conversion rate could be better. But, as I said, right now, he is the best batter in the South African test side, bar nobody. End of discussion. Yeah.
No, yeah. You know me. I love me some Timber. I'm just excited. Can't wait to see him lead us out at Lords, which will both be there live, clapping him on. We'll probably be bowling first. With a little green tinge. And Timber will be there leading us out. I'm really excited to see him. And it would be great if he scored 100 at Lords. It would be insane. But anyway, I can dream. Let's move on to another cricket team of ours. The Proteas Women started their ODI series. The bowlers seemingly are doing a great thing, but I also think it's an exhibition in horrible batting. England started the ODI series with pressure from South Africa, who put them really, really in a slog. They bowled them out for a paltry, was it 180? We didn't even think they should get to 180, but somehow the Proteas Women are going through a situation, new coach, new game plan. And the batting wasn't that straightforward, but the Proteas Women got through. And then enter Black Sunday. We might as well call it Black Sunday. Why? It was the Black ODI, and they were standing up against for a great cause, and it's against gender-based violence in South Africa, which is really, really great. But the effort that we got on such a big day, the CSA is trying to get Black Day to be as big as Pink Day, and we'll get there. There's many years to go for that. However, the product on the field, again, a shambles, horrible, again. And to a certain extent, you can say that I'm a hater or whatever it is, but I'm tired of giving this team excuses. Where does this team want to sit in women's cricket around the world? Do they want to be the lapdog to England when we know they can beat England? We know they're better than this. But all of a sudden, the collapses are just happening everywhere, and this team all of a sudden seemingly doesn't know how to bat again. And it was something that I picked up in the first ODI. They're chasing 183, and they're making a right meal out of it in that game. And Tim, I don't know. I know it's Coach Mandler's second game. We've got to give him time. But my word, this team, you talk about the Proteas men having issues with their batting. This team needs to exercise a lot of demons in order for us to get back to the levels that we expect them to get to. Being bowled out for 134 is not great. It's not something that you'd want. And yes, things happen, but we were out-batted in the T20s. Now the batting cracks are coming through, and yet you've got all the time. Well, you can tell them they have all the time in the world, but it seems like they don't see it that way. Craig Chan scored 40 runs. Laura Wolfert scored some runs, but if Laura Wolfert doesn't score runs, we are nowhere at all. And it's sad to say, but luckily we got a win against England in the first ODI, but this could have been another whitewash.
Yeah, it's not pretty, dude. It's not pretty. And it's hard to see the direction. Yes, as you say, early days. It's not. You can't see exactly what Mandla's trying to do. And that's understandable. It's his second game. But it's not pretty, as you say. It's not pretty. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant to watch because we know the talent of the squad. We know the potential of the squad, despite the fact that we may have differences on one or two selections that we feel that are being given too much of a long run. And hopefully Mandla will make this hard decisions, because I do think now it's getting to that, well, not getting, it's got to that stage where you need to make a decision with one or two players. I genuinely think that. I'm not going to mention them, but if one or two players in there that either need to be told, that's it, thanks very much, or go back to domestic cricket. And these are the things I want, not just that, these are the things I want you to work on. I want to work on X, Y, and Z. That is the most important thing. That Mandla goes and he says to these individuals, go back into the system, but I want you to do X, Y, and Z. If you do X, Y, and Z, then we can think about bringing you back. But right now, where you are in your game, it isn't helping you. It isn't helping the team. It isn't helping the plans I have.
It's just a shame. Name and shame. Name those players. Why? Because it's a feeling out period for Coach Mandla, right? And he needs to see, he needs to hear. I had this, I tweeted during the first game. I was sitting there going, Sine came in at 3. Sine Lees comes in at 3. I'm like, since when is she coming in at 3? That doesn't make sense, but okay, cool. And then she literally does not score at all. Not looking to score. She's trying to score. The game seems very fast for her with the bat. I tweet, we need to figure out a way to move off of Sine. And I think to a certain extent, we need to find a way to move off of those who are not contributing, right? Anna Kabosh, where's Anna Kabosh? What's going on? She should be here. What's happening? I see Annery Dirksen. I get it. I don't think she has it. I think she's got skill with both bat and ball, but I'm not sure if it's at that international level, right? And to a certain extent, if you're going to use her as a lower order batter, that's fine. Don't bring her up, right? Until the batting improves. Nadine de Klerk should be batting higher up. Sinalo Jafta should be batting higher up. Both of them have worked on their batting, and you can see it, but they're not getting enough balls. That 45 from Nadine in the game we were chasing 183, without her, we lose the game. So I just sit here going, Sune, we need to talk about you. Chloe scored some runs yesterday. Maybe that's her turning the corner. But I'm not saying they must be gone for good. Send them back. Give them a break. Let them figure themselves out and work on their game and give them pointers. We need runs from Sune. We need to be banking on her. We can't bank on her, right? Tasman's also fallen off a semi-cliff. But I don't know if going back to domestic is going to help her, but it needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be recognized. And I think Mandla's got a very hard job because the talent is there and we don't deny it. But the thing about sport is that talent is useless if you don't produce. Yeah. It's useless. It's the reason why everyone was complaining about Timber all this time. It's the reason why everyone's complaining about Aiden right now. Aiden's talented. We can see it in the veins. But the moment Aiden hits 2 4s in an over, it's done for. Next one is going to nick off. And it's not me hating. It's the streets talking. And the same thing with Sine. She comes in, she doesn't look like she wants to be there. She looks like a shadow of herself. And that's what you get. Chloe Tryon, same thing. But at least in yesterday's game, she gave us a fighting 40. I'll take a fighting 40 right now. But we really need to talk about this batting lineup because if you look at it, I'm just like baffled, right? Sune, why are you batting at 3? I don't understand. But again, really need to work on a game. Annery Dirksen, we see that 29. We love it. Not so sure they're still, but okay. Marzan should be batting higher up, but I guess workload and everything else, she needs to get back from a batting perspective to her destructive best. And that's where Nadine comes in. If you don't want Marzan to bat at 5, Nadine can bat at 5, right? Chloe Tryon, we need to work on that. And then on top of that, from a bowling perspective, again, where are the fast bowlers? I think the fastest bowler in South Africa is actually in India right now with the SA under-19s, playing against India under-19s, and she's doing really well. So we need to figure this thing out. I don't know what's going on, but Ayanda Hlubi's not there. Dumisi Kukun is not there. Ayabonga Kaka is there. Marazan Kab is there. Nadine de Klerk can help you with the ball, but you still need another pacer. Another pacer who's going to set you up apart. If you look at how England were playing yesterday, they're just finding pacers out of everywhere. You need to find a fast bowler. Doesn't matter if she can bat. We need someone who can crank it up. And I don't know what we're doing here in the Proteas Women setup. It's Mandla stepped into a job with a whole lot of work. He's got a lot of work cut out for him. And this thing of going to finals just doesn't cut it because it papers over the crap. It's a false dawn. Because if you look deep into this team, there's no depth. There really isn't any people we can bank on from a batting perspective outside of Laura. And from a bowling perspective, if Marazan doesn't take wickets up front, we're in trouble. But anyway, they got one more game in Potchefstroom on Wednesday. Hopefully we're going to get a better effort. And it's not about the effort. It's not about, like, I just want to watch a game with the Proteas Women where I sit there going, these people actually do care. And I know it's hard, and I know England are a better side, but we cannot run away from the fact that, oh no, they're a better side. They're supposed to beat us. No. Because when you go to World Cups, you beat England. When you go to World Cups, you give England scares. Where are the scares? At least scare them. At least take it to like the last over. At least score 240 and say we're going to try to defend 240. You can't just be like, yeah, oh no, we're going to do 151. No. Like, where's that Proteas side? What happened? What changed?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
Tim,
the only thing that I would add when I'm talking about the message, I don't want, for example, Sine and Chloe to be told we're going to try something different to go back to the domestic setup. With anything else, I want them to be told, I want you to do these things. If you're telling Sine nothing at all, she will go back to the domestic setup and she will score runs and she will dominate. But when she goes back to the national side, she'll be exactly the same. Exactly the same. You need to be able to tell her, I need you to bowl a lot more domestic setup. I need you to bat at 3 and I need you to dominate the domestic setup. Not just the score runs, to dominate. I want a statement performance. Same with Chloe. The most important thing for me is the message. That is the most important thing. What you tell them, if you are going to try something else, the message you tell those players that are not going to play for the next game or the next 2 games or whatever. Make the message clear.
Yep. And to a certain extent, for me, the message for Sine is we need you to score runs, but score them at a faster strike rate. I need you to work on your ability to rotate strike. And it's not about boundaries, but it's about being a proactive batter. You need to be positive in your intent. Nothing negative. No, like it looks negative. With Chloe, she needs to, same thing, score runs, dominate, but hers is more of a strike rate issue. She needs to find ways to score at the higher strike rates we need her to, right? This team doesn't have a high strike rate batter, and we look to you, right? We would love to look to Sine, but Sine wants to be a traditional batter. So that's what we want. That's what I'm asking. I look at this team and I'm like, you guys not rotating strike. You guys are sitting there going, oh, it's so hard. Okay, let's try. But anyway, let's move on from there. I don't want to be the things that excite us are squad announcements. So let's go to squad announcements. One squad announcement, Tim. I know you love this squad announcement. SA Invitational playing England Lions in Cape Town, Western Cape Cricket Club. I think it's tomorrow or sometime this week. Tomorrow, yes. Tomorrow. So this is not South Africa A, but this is emerging SA. South African Invitational. And this is the team: Matthew Boast, Tsapang Ditole, Ronda Swart, Jean Duplessis, Skalk Engelbrecht from the Momentum Titans, Jordan Harman, Tobile Hlatuga, Andile Mukakane, Tsepo Ndwandwa, Sinetemba Tleshile, Richard Seletswane, Lesego Senokwane, and Cody Yusuf. Tim, what do you make of the squad? I'm excited for these players. I'm gonna watch them play tomorrow. Yeah.
It's a very exciting squad. Absolutely, very exciting. It's a shame that it's only one game. I kind of like it to be a couple because that England A team is going to be strong. If I remember correctly, saying that it was a strong team that they have picked themselves. The only thing I would say is, and I get his talent, I get the future prospects, I get it. I think it is still there, but his form this season has fallen off a cliff. And Andile Mukakane, I think I'm not sure I'll be having him in there. If you're looking for a young Black African batter, I think you need to look elsewhere. And I've been looking at Province's Nyaku. I think Nyaku is going to turn himself into a batsman who can bowl. I think it's taken him a while to find exactly what his role is, but I think Uncle Nyaku would have been the better bet.
This guy is 30 years old, and he's an all-rounder.
Yes.
We want a top order batter.
I get it, but and the age thing would probably does count against him. But as I say, outside of that, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see what Lesego Senokwane can do. I saw him this week. I was reasonably impressed.
That's good. I'll take reasonably impressed for someone who's always pessimistic. So I'll take that.
And look, he made, what did he make? He made 74. He made 74 units. So, that's not to be stiffed up at all. Ruan to Swat, I've always been a fan of his. It's just unfortunate our all-rounders are where we are, but I'm excited to see where he is. Yeah, I'm very excited to see basically a lot of them. Cody Yusuf.
He's earned that. He's earned that. He's earned that a lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about it. That last 12 months has been exceptional for him.
Look, I think for me, I don't mind giving Andile Mukakane a chance. As everyone says, the talent is there, and a lot of cricket coaches will rather die with talent and see if they can't get at KZN England back then when Mukakane was there. So it's something that's going to be quite interesting to see. So I'd give him a chance, but I'm a fan of this team as well. Tim, can you hear me?
I can. You did disappear for about 10 seconds, but you're absolutely fine now.
Yeah, no, I think it was me. So, but like what I was saying was that I'm okay to give Mukakane a chance. Another guy I'd give a chance is Kabelo Sikukune, but form is an issue because Easton's lost again. And Coach Jeff, I'm sorry, but like what's going on now? Like, what am I supposed to do as an Eastern supporter? Like, this isn't great. But anyway, we'll get to that, right? So, yeah. Okay. Tim, you got me. Okay. I'm having Wi-Fi issues, but we're moving on. We do apologize to everyone if you see the Wi-Fi things happening, but you know how we are and how things work. Okay, the next squad. We like squads. This one's an interesting one. It's a T20I squad for the Pakistan series. There's 3 matches. Pakistan will be playing South Africa in Durban, and Centurion at the Wanderers. Durban is tomorrow on the 10th, and Centurion on Friday, and then at the Wanderers on Saturday. I think I'll be at the Wanderers on Saturday, just trying to get that up. There we go. So it's Heinrich Klaasen as captain of the team. Some of the Proteas who played in the Sri Lanka series are not there because of the timing of it all. But this is an interesting one because it gives us a view into where Rob is trying to go. Othniel Bartman, Matthew Brzezinski, he's joining from the Proteas side. That's why the asterisk is there. Donovan Ferreira, Riza Hendricks, Patrick Kruger. George Linder makes a return into the side, largely because Keshaf isn't there anymore. And possibly they're looking at someone who's going to come in the space of Bjorn Fortuin. Gwena Mapaka joins from the test side. David Miller and Nokia comes back in after being given a break in the T20 format. Ngaba Peter comes in from the Lions. Ryan Rickleton also comes in after his 100 at Gqeberha. Tabay Shamsi will miss the first T20, but will be there for the last two, depending on what because he's playing for Guyana in the Global T20, which is like a 4-team tournament. And Dilis Simulani joins, and we've got a return of Rassie van der Dussen. The issue I have here is there are players who we seemingly thought we've moved on from who are coming back. One of them is Rassie van der Dussen. I thought we didn't want Rassie in T20s, but now, based on the last press conference around trying to get a pool of players of 30 to 40 players who are going to play T20s, Rassie's now back in. Are we not moving backwards? The other one is Donovan Ferreira. What has he done to warrant a selection in the side?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I can't say Mokhani is lucky for his emerging invitational and not say the same about Donovan. Both are true. Both individuals, in my opinion, are lucky. I can see the thought behind both selections, but you're right. In terms of current form, they are fortunate. This team, particularly this team, it lacks a tiny bit of firepower, I think, and I think that's what's preserving his grace. I think they know we can hit the ball a long way. They know we can score quickly. They know we can find the boundaries. He just hasn't done it for South Africa yet, and that's a disappointment because I genuinely thought he would have done by now. I genuinely thought by this point, Ferreira would have nailed down his position within this side, and it would have been courteous to somebody like Rassie. It would have been. Thanks, Rusty. You've been a great servant, but we're not going with a younger version and in a slightly different direction.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't done it, they now feel they need to have that experience within that team. And that is slightly, in my opinion, slightly problematic.
Yeah. Because you're not picking Rassie to sit on the bench, right? It's going to be one of Ferreira, Brzezinski, or Rickleton who are going to be sitting on the bench because Reese is there. And my question is, what are we seeing? Like, what do we gain by not giving Matthew, Ryan, and to a certain extent Donovan a full run in this series, right? And to a certain extent, someone like a Jordan Harriman should be here watching. Or Diva Brevis shouldn't be here, but that's another name you can give an opportunity to. Right? To see if maybe because the talent is there, it may not be clicking, but it could click at this level. It's illogical, but sports works in weird ways. And if we're wanting youngsters to come in and we're fighting the fact that Dame Patterson is in the test side and we are doing all of these things, what are we doing with Rassie? Right? Unless you're going to say that is Rassie going to be at the next World Cup? That's my question to Tim. Like, he can be like, oh, no, you never know. You do. You really do. Especially with Aiden not on the side. And who else from Proteas? I'm trying to go through Tristan Stubbs. Like, what's the pathway for a Rassie? I don't like playing. It's the same thing with Tabré Shamsi. What's the point of having him in here? Are you saying that he's now back in the mix? Or what is it? Because if you're looking for your frontline spinner, you already have your frontline spinner in Kesh. Same thing. I love the George Linder pick. He deserves to be rewarded. But is he going to get a fair shake at Keshev's spot? Right? Because that's what you were doing with Bjorn. Right? Yeah. Like, if I'm George, I'd be like, I love representing my country, but I want a shot at that spot. I'm a better batter than him. And potentially, from a bowling perspective, he's better than me. But in a T20 game, does that matter? And so for me, that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, there's too few X Factor players. There's a lot of guys who've once played the Proteas, now are coming back. They don't have the X Factor, and we should be looking for X Factor. Meanwhile, the X Factor players are not there. So that's okay. We got to give guys a break and everything else. But again, I'm going to ask again, should we care about the series? I'm not sure. But again, if you get whitewashed by Pakistan, we will start caring. And Rob, please don't lose the series. You can lose 2-1, but you can't lose 3-0. That for me is problematic. But again, I don't know where we're going with this. Same thing with Othniel Bartman. This will be a very interesting chance for him to lead the attack. Can he lead the attack? Does he not need someone else to help him? Obviously, you've got Gwena coming in. I hope he plays. But yeah, we look very light from a fast bowling perspective as well, Tim.
We do look. Shukri knows what he wants. Shukri picks the people that he knows are going to contribute, and it's worked out because he knows those individuals, and he knows exactly what he wants to do. I don't get that impression from Rob. I thought that he did know 6 months ago. I thought he knew. I don't know that anymore. Right now, I think he's got feet in both baskets in terms of, as we touched on, Ferreira, Rassie, Shamsi, George. I don't think he knows his best 11, and that's with the T20 World Cup every single 5 minutes. That's problematic.
No, I think he does. I just don't get this fascination about having a squad of over 25 players in T20. Yes, India can have that. Yes, England can have that. Yes, Australia can have that. Why? They've got thriving T20 tournaments, and they've been doing it for the last 10 years. We've got SA24. This is the third SA20 that's about to happen, right? So you can't expect to have a pool of 30 to 40 players. Yes, I get most of your players play across all three formats. That's fine. But then, where are the other players? Bench strength. You can have a squad of about 20. 20 guys you go to, you know you can rely on. They'll be in your World Cup squads. Maybe you can stretch it to 22. But this thing of fascination with 30 players, no. Some guys shouldn't play. Like, to a certain extent, Patrick Kruger is one of the guys who I was like, wow, we're going there. But he's fought for his place, and he's there, and he deserves it. So well done, Rob. That's fine. That's one example of you extending the net. I don't think the other examples are working. I really don't. And to a certain extent, I like Andile Simelane. It's a little bit too early, right? But it's fine. For now, you can give him a chance. He's young. He can learn. He needs to learn. George is a left field thing, but it's obviously outside the fact that you need to rest cash, right? But then what happened to Bjorn? Is Bjorn no longer good enough? He hasn't had opportunities. What's going on? You know, and to a certain extent, Bjorn and George have had the most incredible start to the domestic season. Unbelievable start to the domestic season. One didn't play the T20s, the CSA T20 because he was with the Proteas. We get that. But from a 4-day series, Bjorn Fortuin is giving you exactly what George is giving you. Like, but is he no longer good enough to play T20s?
And I don't want to be ageist, but he's 3 years younger.
That too. Okay, Tim. let's go through the domestic games. We've only had 3 games this week. We're going to start with Division 2. Drama happening in Division 2. This should be actually blue, but anyway, it's not red. Anyway, Limpopo Impalas went to go to take on the Garden Route Badgers. They scored 395 and 223 for 5 declared. They drew with the Badgers, who scored 276 and 41 not out. Lawrence Tinkamp scoring 76. Thomas Kaber 5 for 90. Carl Jacobs scoring 100 for the Badgers. Liam Peters 60, not 60%, just 60 runs for 86, and Ludwig Keisner 57 for Limpopo. And then on the other side, the Inyati hosted the Eastern Storm. I tweeted Jeff Toyana and said, "Bring back a W, coach." Clearly, that W did not arrive, and the EC Inyati finally have their first win of the season. So well done to you! Woo! Across all, we've had a T20 tournament. We've had halfway through a 4-day series, and they finally do it in match 11, which is match 10, which is a great thing. But anyway, Eastern Cape Inyati started Marco Murray 170 and Ndisi Malika 120 to get to the 514 you see there. Then they bowled out the Eastern Storm for 300. Shaylin Pillay scoring 72 of those runs. Divan Postumus of the Eastern Storm took 4 for 117 in that in the first innings of the match. And then in reply, Inyati got bowled for 140. But then they managed to bowl out the Eastern Storm for 97. Jeta Clark 5 for 73. Nico Van Zyl 4 for 18. And Tumelo Simelane in the first innings taking 8 for 55 for the Eastern Storm. Horrible loss for the Storm, but great win for the Inyati, Tim.
Indeed. I did not see 97. Was it 97 all out? But when I was looking, I was thinking similar to the first game. Okay, nobody's really done enough to win the game, but Easterns will bat out on today and draw it, and
they couldn't.
They collapse like a pack of cards. Very concerning for Easterns. They've had a very inconsistent season. It really has been up and down. And Yati, as you say, it's a win. It's a win. That's the most important thing for him. They won't really care how it happened. Just the fact that
happened.
They got the win.
Yeah, no, that's true. And then so we look at the log, and then we'll just go through some of the fixtures. The Tuskers still at the top. The Heat, after that draw, sitting in second. Not the Heat, sitting in second. They didn't play this week. The Inyati, after 4 games, sitting in third. The Badgers, after that draw, in fourth. Impalas in fifth. The Rhinos in sixth. And the team that hasn't won any game in the 4-day series and last, the Eastern Storm. Really, really horrible season for the Storm. There's a game ongoing that's probably going to end up in a draw. Western Province in Division 1 taking on the Knights. Onkenyaku scoring 63. Tian van Vieren 4 for 39. Tembile Langa also 3 for 37. Isaac Dikhale scored 84. Patrick Buerta scored 80. Carl Simmons took 5 for 77. At the time I did this, there were 38 without loss, Western Province. But now they're 73 without loss. But 73 without loss. But this game is going to end up in a draw, most likely. Yeah. Tim, anything else that you would have liked to talk about? I know you spoke about Sinakwane 70, but anything else in that game that you were like impressed by?
Well, Province were 33 for 5 on day 1. 33 for 5. That's the second time they've been 33 for 5. The last time they were 33 for 5, they were in all sorts of trouble. And they got to on that wicket because the first day was rained out completely. Not a ball was bowled, pouring rain. Onkonyaku played very, very well. Now, I know it's a season campaign, it's been around a long time, but in that sort of situation, I thought he I thought he batted really, really well. And Tim Van Furen for the Knights, that's the quickest and most consistent I've seen him bowl. He's also been around quite a while. I think he's 27 or 28, so he's no longer a spring chicken. But when you talk about fast bowlers in the domestic setup, like genuine fast bowlers, not medium fast, Ian is under that category. It's really good to see that he was bowling his heart out on a pitch that was not offering an awful lot, if I'm honest. By the time it got to tea, it was really sort of flattening out. The rain, the wet weather, it certainly flattened out that pitch even more. So from a Povert's point of view, Uncle Nyaku, outstanding, 63. Knight's point of view, Tim Van Furen, superb. Outside of that, there wasn't a heck of a lot. One thing I would say is it's a little bit sad for me that Snyman has not had a more games for South Africa. I'm not sure why.
Test T20s or ODIs?
In anything. Well, because in the innings that he played, was it yesterday? Yesterday. Sorry, I'm getting confused. He had 37 of 30. And Senekwane, having faced similar amount of balls, had 3. Now, that's not disparaging on Senekwane. My point is that Snyman was under no trouble at all at any point in his innings. He gave it away, which he often does, but I just saw a player there that should have played more for South Africa. That's all. He definitely should have played more. We talk about
poor man's David Warner. That's what I call him.
You know, we talk about Reza Hendricks. Let's put it that way. Reza Hendricks, and there are always going to be people in Reza Hendricks' camp, and there are always going to be people out of his camp. I think Snyman should have played more of those games that Reza Hendricks played for South Africa. I genuinely think there was a player there, and for whatever reason, was never able to nail down his spot, which is a shame. But I enjoyed his innings of 56. It really was. It was a very entertaining innings on what was a very tough couple of days because, as I said, day one was rained out.
Look, I think especially with the way Test cricket's going and ODI cricket's going, Jacques Snyman should have gotten an opportunity somewhere along the line, largely because of that, right? He can blunt the attack. He's David Warner-esque. He just doesn't have the stamina that David Warner has, and he has the hunger, stamina to score those big runs. And he would be, if Shukri picked him for Pakistan, I'd be like, yeah, why not? Makes sense, right? You want someone at the top to blunt the attack. You already have Tony de Zorzi doing it. I'm not saying drop Aiden, but there's a way you could have a Jacques Snyman in that side at the top of the order, just dominating attacks. You're seeing what's happening with India right now, and you're seeing what's happening with England. If we really wanted to go deep into that, he's the type of player that you'd be looking at. But anyway, that's just something for us. Maybe one day a Jacques Snyman might make it. Anyway, Tim's team of the week has no Jacques Snyman, by the way. Anyway, he's got Carl Jacobs. This is for Division 2, by the way. Carl Jacobs, Liam Peters, Lawrence Steenkamp, Marco Marais for that 170, Shailen Pillay, that 72, Ndisi Malika, 120, Divan Postumus of the Eastern Storm, Jay de Klerk, Thomas Kaber, Nico van Zyl, and Dumelo Simelane. Really, really interesting 11. Not many games, but essentially a very good 11 and ode to the performances. Just before we go, Tim, before I give you a thing, there's 2 games this week in Division 2. The Northern Cape Heat take on the Limpopo Impalas in Kimberley, and the Eastern Storm host the Mpumalanga Rhinos in Benoni. Coach Jeff, again, this time, please. a W. A W. You can't lose to the Rhinos. You cannot. You've been embarrassed by the Inyati, and yes, you can say Marco Murray had your number. Fine, we believe you. But you can't not take a W from the Rhinos. Tim, any final words?
No, but just on my team, I needed to find a way to get pace in my team, and I'm glad the guys contributed and did well. Posthumous and Nico Fensale, but I've always been. I know I've spoken about Nico before. I'm just glad that he's performing and being consistent, which is great to see.
There's some good players in the Inyati that could do quite a lot. And to some extent, like a Malcolm Murray he needs to be batting in Division 1. Like we've always known this. So he's had the talent, just don't understand what happened. But yeah. Look, that brings us to the end of our show. You've got Proteas Women tomorrow in the ODIs, and then the test match will start next week, mostly. And then you've got Proteas Men playing tomorrow in Durban. Then on Friday, it's in Churn. Then on Saturday, one-day turnaround at the Wanderers. I'll be there. Come say hi if you see me. And then you've got the 2 Division 2 games, the Heat taking on the Impalas in Kimberley, and you've got Eastern Storm hosting the Mpumalanga Rhinos in Benoni. It's a short trip for everyone, for the Rhinos into Benoni, but it's going to be a great game. Good luck to everyone. Good luck to the Proteas as they start a new series with Pakistan, and well done to the Proteas men on beating Sri Lanka. We are booking those tickets to the World Test Championship. June 11 to June 15, we will be there sipping tea at Lord's. Why? Because we can. Why? Because Temba is leading us, and that's all that matters for me. I know it also, but yeah. Outside of that, from Tim and myself, remember, like us on Facebook. Not Facebook, on YouTube. We don't do, but we're on Facebook too. Share and do all those things. But follow us on Full Quarter Pod on X and engage with us there. Subscribe to Full Quarter Podcast on YouTube and also Apple Podcast and Spotify. We up, baby. Please do support us there, and also please buy some coffee to help us get to Lords. Help Mpho and Tim get to Lords. And now that'll be fun. Outside of that, thank you very much, everyone. Have a good time and enjoy the cricket. And Lesale.